if you're a younger loan officer or you're a newer loan officer watching this, at first you do have to take all of it. You take what you can get, but over time it should evolve. Your funnel should evolve. You should be saying, hey, I don't want to do this. I do want to do more of this. And then you do more of this. Then you actually grow to do more and more and more of this.
You take everything in the beginning. I just think you don't market yourself as that. You know what I mean? So like some of my best relationships are the other LO didn't want to take this $75,000 deal with messy credit. And I was like, give it to me. I'll figure it out. Now I'm not going to go out and go like, give me everything that's $70,000. But because I did a great job with something small, this realtor is going to trust me with their $400,000 deal. So there's this blend of like hustle while also figuring out like, what do I want to lean into even more?
So how did you start building these systems? How did you start building the team? Where'd you start?
I started with kind of failing at it, quite honestly. And what I mean is, she's still with me today. When we hired our first loan partner, I really didn't know what to do. So I was like, hey, can you take this lead? And I think a lot of loan officers fall into one of two categories. They either way micromanage, and so they can't get out of their own way, or typically they don't know how to train their loan partner to be a mini them. And so they don't give enough direction and then wonder why it didn't turn out the way they wanted.
Hey guys, I'm Steve. I'm the owner of CRMU, and today we have Caleb Heister. He's on the other side of Florida, and I met Caleb like 5-6 years ago. We were both young, we were both new, and we just stayed in touch. We've stayed in touch via Instagram and Facebook, which is how I stay in touch with everyone. But Caleb is a top producer, a young top producer, and that's what we do here. We talk to young LOs that close a ton of loans. I don't think it's that impressive to be 20, 30 years in, closing 50 million. I do think it's damn impressive if you're a couple years in and you can figure out how to close 20, 30, 40 million. I think that's awesome. So we got Caleb here. Caleb, when we met, we were like, I was 20. I would have been like 22 probably.
Yeah.
We were a couple years older. I was a complete noob. I knew nothing. I was just going to random coaching events. And we met at a coaching event in Philly, somewhere in Pennsylvania. And we just stay in touch. So, Caleb, real quick, you want to just give us a basic intro, how you got into this business?
Yeah, sure. So, Caleb Heister. I'm here in Central Florida over on the Atlantic coast. I got into the business accidentally, probably like almost everybody else out there. I lived up in Pennsylvania, and I had some family move to Florida back in January 2017. And at the time, I didn't go to college or anything like that. I was in sales, but I sold flooring. And anyways, I came across an ad online, and it was like, hey, if you like people and numbers, maybe you should do this. And literally signed up, moved down here 5 weeks later to take my NMLS test. Had no idea really what a mortgage was. So I started in March 2017 when I was probably...
Was the ad like a recruiting company, or what was it?
It was just an ad on Monster. So I was trying to find a way to get to Florida. And so honestly, I was looking for like flooring territory reps, right? I was like, maybe this manufacturer, whatever. And I just saw something that was like finance related. And I have a little bit of a finance background, although no degree for it. And something clicked where I was like, maybe this is for me. And it ended up being the biggest gift ever. But it was accidental, 100%.
So you got in right when you lit. Where are you from again?
I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania initially.
So you're from PA.
Yep.
I'm from Ohio. I got licensed and I moved down here 10 days later. I knew no one. I didn't realize you did that. You were a brand new Florida transplant when you got licensed.
I knew two people, my boss and my dad, and neither one needed a mortgage down here. So yeah, I had no connections whatsoever.
Yeah. See, that's impressive. Like when you relocate from an area that you don't know anyone, you didn't like grow up with these people, you don't know their parents, you don't know anyone's friend, like you don't have a group, and you get into a referral-based business. That's wild, dude. I don't know how I did it looking back, but how did you do it? Like, how did you move to a new area, start doing loans, which are impossible to start doing, and then grow your business, grow your referral partners?
I mean, it was kind of one of the, like, you burn the bridges, you got to figure it out, you know? I left a pretty good job up north, came down, didn't know anybody, and I think the thing that helped was the first 4 or 5 months, I was literally put in an office. There were fruit flies over my head, number one. Okay, there was no windows, and there was, like, leaking plumbing above. It was the grossest office. But for the first 4 months, all I did was call the most ice-cold leads out of the database ever for 8 hours a day. It was just people who signed up 5 years ago to maybe buy a house, and my job was to, like, set them up on a search and transfer them to a mortgage person. And quite honestly, it was the most miserable 8 hours a day of my
Was it
entire year.
like a call center type of thing, or what was it?
No, it was like they were connected to a real estate office, and that real estate office used to buy leads. So they had leads from like 7 years earlier, 5 years earlier, and they just wanted me literally to call through it 8 hours a day. Like that's all I did. I hated. I'm not gonna lie, I hated it. I hated every single minute of it. But I learned how to be good on the phone. I learned some of the real estate industry, and I also learned that that was so painful. I was willing to do anything else to not do it, just quite frankly. And so August 2017, I went to this this coaching group thing. It was a 2-day event, and they were really big into cold calling, which I had mixed thoughts about now, quite frankly. But at the time, they were like, just whatever, call realtors, call realtors. And honestly, I was begging, like, will you please just let me call realtors so I can get a referral instead of this stuff? And so I kind of forced my way, and like where I'm at is very much like a beach town. It's a small town. It's big geographically, but everybody knows everybody. They've lived here for 40 years. And so when you're an outsider, it's not that you're not welcome. It's just like it's hard to be one of them, right? It's hard to break into a market. Any market's that way, but it is a little different whenever
I
it's.
went to a bar once in Melbourne. Melbourne's what, 20 minutes from you?
Yeah, right down the road.
I went to the country bar downtown Melbourne by myself, and like I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't make friends.
Yeah.
Like I literally could not hit up a conversation with anyone because they're like, "You're not from here, boy."
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about, actually. That cowboy, they do like line dancing and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So it's tough to break in the real estate community. Everybody knows everybody. But that's how I got started. It was August 2017. Was my first loan was 65,000. It took 5 months to get because I was cold calling from that database, and I was just determined. I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. And I don't know if it was the most efficient path, but it got me there.
So what you did back then, I called realtors too. I would call realtors. I'd go into Zillow, find a list of realtors buying premier agent leads, and I would literally call them out of Starbucks for hours a day. That was 2018, a little bit different of a world, like pre-COVID, pretty much. It's like pre-COVID, post-COVID. I mean, I grew most of my business after COVID. I mean, you did too. What did you start doing that started converting in the last couple of years if you haven't been calling realtors?
Yeah, so I mean, like that got my name known, maybe hated by some because I was calling them every week, and some liked me for it. But it got me like kind of a base in the community. Where it really started to take off was I was really trying to develop better relationships, number one, and then two, like just network through them. So one of the things that I realized that doesn't really work with cold calling is if I meet with you and then I call you every Monday at 10, for example, you don't feel like a friend to me. It feels like I'm soliciting you. And so it didn't feel like genuine relationships, which isn't really what I wanted. I wanted actual, relationships with these people. And so what I would do is if I was already working with you, Steve, I would find out like, who are you friends with in your office? And then I would use that as a launching point. So you go like, hey, I'm really good friends with Susie. I reach out to Susie and be like, hey, I'm close with Steve, and he was telling me that you're great. I love working with him. Would love to get to know you. And a lot of times I would use social media because I found if I was messaging someone on like Instagram, exponentially higher conversion rate where they're going to respond, and much nicer than if I'm cold texting somebody and all they see is a phone number. They don't see a profile behind it or anything. So we would call that third-party endorsements, which is just Steve said, you were great. You work with him. I love Steve. Would love to meet you. That was one thing. And then the second thing was just straight social media, targeting people through, commenting on their stories, messaging them. And what I found was you feel like you know somebody even when you don't, and they feel the same way. And for me, the way I found that out was I was at an event. Somebody walked in and I go, oh my gosh, I got to go say hi to my buddy Wes. And then it dawned on me, I've never met Wes. Wes does not know who I am. I've followed him for a year and I somehow think I'm friends with him. And so anyways, long story short, I really leverage social media and I leverage like, who do I already know, and create some kind of authentic like connection with them instead of just hard selling, hard calling every week.
You can still like be aggressive with it. You can still go in for it like you would be doing on a call. It's just the thing is with a call or a text, no one responds. No one answers. It's not like it's a matter of you need to hustle harder and grind harder, make more calls. You need to wake up. You need to make more calls every day. It's like they don't convert. But this is what you could actually be aggressive with. Like if a loan officer really wanted to get after it, it's like, dude, start commenting on people's posts and like actually like trying to get meetings set through DM, and like I guarantee you that's gonna have a 2, 3, 5, 10x higher conversion than calling or spam texting.
Yeah, what I found was the more I focused on that, the more I would get organic growth of a realtor going like, hey, I got this scenario because they saw I posted something else, or they just thought of me because I'm top of mind. I don't even know who they are. They feel like they know me enough to reach out to me. But you can still, to your point, if all you do is just nice messages, you'll never get appointments. You got to pick and choose when to be aggressive with it for sure. But I'm more way likely to respond if someone messages me than if they just call me and I don't know them and they're interrupting whatever I'm doing. So and you can add value. That's the other cool thing, right? You can create something or find a cool article and I can message it to you and you go like, oh, that was cool information. And I'm not necessarily selling you directly, but I'm showing, hey, I'm a valuable partner. We have a relationship, we have a text thread, that type of thing. And it just lowers that barrier of entry to meet with somebody.
100%. People just aren't leveraging social media in the way that they think they should be. It's like, you're not just posting content. You got to like interact, engage. You got to slip into people's DMs. Like it is so undervalued, the DM. It's like you can talk to people for 2 or 3 years and they know your name. They know everything about your life. They know where you live, what you do, what animals you're farming today, like your dog's name. And people just don't even put anything out there, and they don't even try to engage with other people.
I heard a long time ago, it's the best known that wins. It's not always the best product, it's the best known. And I think that's a good reminder. You could be the best LO in the world, but if nobody knows who you are and you're not out there connecting, you're not doing any loans,
I love that line. Rocket Mortgage. They're definitely not the best. They're the shittiest.
No.
And they win.
McDonald's isn't the best burger. I mean, some people might say it is, but they're not the best burger. They're just convenient, and you see them every 3 miles on the highway. So,
are you actively trying to grow your realtor database? Like, are you growing your realtors that you're interacting with on a weekly basis, or is it more of you're in a smaller town and you got your realtors, you're just kind of like keeping them and digging the well? Because I'm a big fan of, like, I moved to Tampa a couple of months ago. I'm not going after any realtors here. Like, I got my realtors, I got my people in Southwest Florida, and I'm just digging the well there. I'm growing my relationships with them that I already work with. I'm referring leads to them, to the people that I work with. And I think people just think that they can get a realtor and move on. And you got to like keep the relationship going. Take a relationship. If you get married in 30 years, you're not talking to each other. It's like, where do you think that's going to end?
Yeah.
You got to keep it going.
Yeah. If you don't stay in front of them, they're going to forget about you, or someone else is going to swoop in and get a better relationship with them. So I kind of have 2 different strategies. I have these are my core realtors. These are the ones that I'm consistently going to be texting with, sending them stuff, sending personal messages. And then secondly, email marketing is kind of back in its own way if you do it right. And so I kind of have a cast a big net motto, which means, I have 5,000 or 6,000 realtors emails. And so we send mass stuff out to them of like, hey, did you know, you can save a deal this, you can do whatever, contest, different things. And so I look at it as like, that's the icing, right? So if I can add a new relationship or get a one-off deal, that's fantastic. But I'm also going to keep focusing on that well of realtors that consistently send business within the last 24 months.
It's 2 miles. For me, I have my close realtors that I'm cool with, and like we're like close with. Like I could script a deal and like they're like, we're close. And then I have dozens. It's a bigger net over here of people that like I get a deal or two from here and there. Maybe they're not even like doing much business. Maybe they're not in real estate 1 year, but like I distinctly think there's 2 different types of referral partners. And people act like everyone's the same. It's like, I got my crew, and then I got like my bigger, wider crew that I'm not really close with.
Oh, 100%. So there are some that are just business, and it's like they'll call you when they need you, whatever. We're probably never going to go, have a drink together or hang out at each other's houses, right? Some that's maybe age gap, life gap, some it's just personalities. But then your core, I always say I want my best realtors to be, if you're calling me at 7 p.m. on Saturday, I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? Like, I want that to be the feeling I have. And if it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me, it's this person calling, not the right partnership. So, and I think it's important also to invest in those people. Like, sometimes we get so busy that a great realtor is calling you and you're short with them. I try to be very diligent of like, they call, I'm going to spend the time on the phone with them. I'll BS with them for 15 minutes. Yo, I saw you went to the Jaguars game. How was it, man? But like authentically, I'm interested, but I also, you got to spend time with those people just like you would with your friends or anybody else. But they're two different buckets. And these are going to be loyal to and push you really well. You got to hold on to those because your conversion rate's through the roof with somebody that like trusts you fully. And there is no, I sent a second name. It's, you got to call Steve. You got to call whoever.
Yeah, you get that call on a Saturday at 7 p.m. For me, I get mad if someone calls me out of hours and I don't like really know them. But like, if I'm tight with them, if they're in my crew and they're calling me, yeah, it's a business call. You're talking about business, but you're also shooting the shit. I personally, I'm a lot more apt to like internally want to work with someone if I actually know who they are, actually care, and they know about my life, I know about their life. Because I think there's a lot of people nowadays that just keep it straight to business and they're really struggling. And it's like you can tell they don't really have the heart in it anymore. You can tell they don't really have the numbers anymore, and they don't know why. And it's like, I think it's pretty clear. You don't like working with these people. I mean, it's pretty clear. You just don't. You always bitch and complain about them. It's like, what if you just tweak this to where you actually enjoy being around the people you work with? Maybe you could engineer your business backwards. And a lot of people think they can't do that. And you can.
Yeah. And you can create some boundaries there. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a random realtor calling you on a Saturday and they only call you on Saturday and they always go, great, I gave them 5 names. That's not a great use of my time on Saturday night to drop everything when I'm one of just 5 names to that client, And so like, how much time am I going to invest in that kind of relationship? You don't have to say yes to every marketing agreement, every event someone tells you. Like, the cool thing about this business is you can pick and choose who you want to work with, what business you want to go after. And that's really hard, especially when you're in the growing phase, because you're like, I got to say yes to everything. But the more you figure out, like, no, this is actually, my niche is not 203K manufactured home on, leased land. That's not my business. My business is this. The easier it is to find that business and have something that you enjoy doing instead of just hating life 7 days a week.
I wish younger loan officers would actually believe me when I say this, but you get to pick the type of business you want to build. Like, we aren't really doing a really tough business here. Like, compared to starting a company out of nothing and selling a product that didn't exist before, that's basically impossible. I mean, we go get loans and then we plug them into the system, and the system is not our system, but the system closes the deal for us, and then we get paid 2 weeks later. We get to choose how we want to build our referrals, how we want to get our leads, where we want our leads to come from. People don't think that we get to choose, and you do get to choose. It's 2025. Like, the world is online. It's crazy. People don't realize. I don't think they have I guess they don't have the internal confidence, power to think that they can. And I wish more loan officers understood that they can.
And I think it's just a lot of like early on, a lot of loan officers just chase the wrong thing. And sometimes I see it and I go like, hey, you don't want to do that. You're going to become blank. And they don't see it. And then they get 24 months in and all they are is hey, I get every deal that got rejected by another lender, LO. Or, hey, I get every down payment assistance deal, LO. Or and then now all your business is headaches. And it's because you were chasing the wrong thing, maybe even chasing the easiest thing, honestly, instead of chasing, this is what I want it to look like, and figuring out, like, how do I stand out in that space?
Yeah. And I know if you're a younger loan officer or you're a newer loan officer watching this, at first, you do have to take all of it. You take what you can get. But over time, it should evolve. Your funnel should evolve. You should be saying, hey, I don't want to do this. I do want to do more of this. And then you do more of this. Then you actually grow to do more and more and more of this. But Yeah, starting off, it's a grind.
You take everything in the beginning. I just think you don't market yourself as that. You know what I mean? So like some of my best relationships are the other LO didn't want to take this $75,000 deal with messy credit. And I was like, give it to me. I'll figure it out. Now I'm not going to go out and go like, give me everything that's 70,000. But because I did a great job with something small, this realtor is going to trust me with their $400,000 deal. You know, so there's this blend of like hustle while also figuring out like, what do I want to, lean into even more.
So I texted you the other day and you responded. I forget what I texted you about, but you responded back. I delegate 95% of the things in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And loan officers are terrible at delegating. Most of them are control freaks and want to do everything themselves and have no systems and are just a complete hurricane. So when you say you delegate 95% of the things in your business, what does that look like?
Yeah. So yeah, I have a team. I'm really big about a team. Because that's the only way you can scale, and it's the only way really you can get any kind of freedom in this business is having systems and a team around you. Yeah, I do very little on any individual loan, to be quite honest with you. So I will do the first phone call with a new lead when they come in, right, and build that rapport. Could be 10 minutes, could be 30 minutes. We all know how that goes. I then send them the application link. My team then follows up, / our system follows up on getting that application in. When it comes in, my loan partner, I have 2 different loan partners. So Tiffany reviews the application, structures it based upon my notes, requests the documents, updates the realtor and me on a group text, and then follows up with that client until documents come in, right? So we have certain days where we follow up for certain things. When those documents come in, my loan partner reviews the documents, calls the borrower, goes over the numbers, sends a group text with the realtor or with the client as well with a recap, emails the realtor, myself, and the borrower the pre-approval letter, and then they get put into a weekly follow-up to see how the house search is going. Again, my loan partner follows up with those pre-approved buyers. If there's estimates that need sent out, they set up the estimates and go, hey, here's the numbers on 123 Main Street. Contract comes in. They send me a snippet of Optimal Blue, which is our pricing engine. I go, hey, do these 3 rates. They send out those rates. They follow up with them. I'd say 90% of the time, they just lock immediately. If it's like a shopper or whatever, just very detailed client, or sometimes they cling to you for whatever reason, then I'll call, talk through it. They go, hey, I want option 2. I message Tiffany. I go, hey, lock option 2. She locks it, requests docs. And as soon as she requests docs, she's my operations manager / processor, Kim. She takes it, and it's her job from there to close. So she sends all the updates out every week. We have a pipeline where I can see everything that's going on. And really, I don't get involved unless there's a major issue. But 85% of the time, my processor she takes care of the issue. It's like, hey, this didn't come in, but I thought, I went to the underwriter, got this cleared, or did whatever. And so unless it's like massive problem, I'm really not involved in it. Once it's clear to close, final numbers are out. My loan partner group text, here's her final numbers, here's the wiring instructions or call title. Do you have any questions? And we're done. So to really simplify, my job is basically first phone call, help lock if we need to. And if there's a major problem my team can't handle, or we have a relationship issue with a realtor or something potentially, I'll step in. Otherwise, my job's to go make the phone ring and market or whatever, really.
That is a mortgage business, guys. There are so few loan officers. I talked to a lot of loan officers about. There are so few loan officers that have that system set up. I mean, it's sad. It's unfortunate because people don't realize what their life can look like. Like when you have 1 or 2 solid people that you're working with on your team, there's not much for you to do. Like, I don't look at loans. I don't know. I don't pull credit. I don't run. Not looking at DTI. It's like you just take all of that off of you and imagine what you're able to do. Imagine what you're able to the relationships you're actually able to grow if you don't do anything, because you don't do anything now.
I tell, and I think people maybe don't believe me, and I get it because I've been there. I don't know what closings are next week. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I don't remember. Like, I really, truly have no clue because I trust my team, and we have a very smooth process. But you got to have the right team, and and you got to learn how to delegate properly, which is a whole other thing. So
Do you have anything specific that you want to cover? Like, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think the delegating piece would be cool to talk about, honestly, because I think that's where most loan officers struggle. So, yeah, if you're down to talk about that, there's some thoughts I had there with it.
So most loan officers will typically hire a loan officer assistant, hire an LP1. They'll try it for a month or two, a couple months. It doesn't work out, which in reality, they never even like trained them properly or even attempted to train them, is what I found. But how did you, and then they fire them a couple months later and it didn't work for me. It's like, well, there's a little bit more to it than it didn't work. So how did you start building the assistants? How did you start building the team? Where'd you start?
I started with kind of failing at it, quite honestly. What I mean is she's still with me today. When we hired our first loan partner, I really didn't know what to do. So I was like, hey, can you take this lead? And I think a lot of loan officers fall into one of two categories. They either way micromanage, and so they can't get out of their own way, or typically they don't know how to train their loan partner to be a mini them. And so they don't give enough direction and then wonder why it didn't turn out the way they wanted. So I would just go, oh, here you go, Malia, take it. And then I would find out later, like something was communicated, and I'm like, that's not how I would have done it. Give it back. Let me do it now. And it made a horrific experience for everybody involved, quite frankly. So the first 6 months were a struggle. I think it's really important. One, make sure you have the right loan partner. Everyone's different with this. With me personally, I'd rather have someone, especially if you're a newer loan officer, I want someone that's actually a little bit stronger than me on the loan side, and then I can help them with the service piece of how I want them to communicate. But you got to be very hyper specific. You got to be very organized. So hiring a loan partner does not come before getting a CRM, getting your own system in place, because the loan partner can't fix those things. If you're not organized, they're going to be unorganized and it's going to be a mess. So I had to really develop that system, figure out like, hey, this is my cadence. This is how I want you to communicate when they say that they're shopping or they're unhappy about a condition. This is, that takes some learning. That's like a learning curve. And that means that you're going to have some things fall through the cracks, and you have to understand that's okay. That's part of the process. You got to fix those cracks, but that's part of it. That's not where you quit. That's not where you fire them. That's where you go, okay, we have an issue here. Let me train this up. And then on the flip side, you have LOs who do all that, but they'll just never let go. They'll never trust. So they just basically shadow that person the whole day and then do the exact same thing they did. And they go, well, I didn't save any time. And it's like, well, yeah, you didn't let them do their job. So you got to create the right system, and then you got to trust them, and you got to know if they're 85% of you, that's okay. You can still double your business. Nobody's going to be exactly how you want it. They're probably going to do it better than you, even though you don't want to admit it. And even if they're 85% of you, accept it, and that's how you scale. Elon Musk doesn't have 700 of him working for his companies, right? But he's got great people, and that's the only way he can grow that company. He can't build every Tesla car himself. So it's the same thing with your business. You got to get good people, you got to train them right, and then you got to trust them. And that's the hardest part for most people.
You hit the nail on the head. First off, it's organization. You got to be organized. So if you're not saving your contacts in your phone, let alone your CRM, if you're not saving the human being that wants to get a mortgage from you, if you're not saving their info and notes and their contact info somewhere, well, you need to be because there's nothing to delegate. Like, what are you going to delegate to your LOA if you're going to say, hey, call this person? It's like you're going to text them over a screenshot of their message. I mean, I guess you could, but you need an online. You need a phone that's online. And what is that? That's called a CRM. And a lot of loan officers, you wouldn't believe how many loan officers I talk to that will sign up for my CRM, and 3 months go by and they can't even put a single lead in the CRM. It's like, dude, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, do you not like money? What is so hard about putting a person that wants to get a mortgage from you you're gonna make 3 or 5, 10 grand from in a system so they can be serviced properly? It's wild.
It's crazy to me. So when I started, I had no CRM. I literally would save people as a task on my Outlook calendar and then move them out to the next follow-up. And I did that for like 12 to 18 months. It was a nightmare coming in on any given morning. And it was just because our CRM was like, it may be the first one ever created. I don't know. It was not useful. But I tell LOs all the time, like, you don't need to learn everything about a CRM. You don't have to be a master at how do you create custom marketing material and create all these different things. Like, save a name, save a note, and create a task. Learn those 3 things, and we can build upon the rest. But if you aren't willing or you don't do those, you're never going to grow outside of what we can remember in our head, which isn't typically very good, quite frankly. So it's like, just learn those 3 things. It's very simple.
It's so simple, but people struggle with it. 1, because they are disorganized. They have no organization. And 2, it's leadership. It's like, if you're going to build a team, if you're going to have partners and they're going to do the work on your loans, you have to lead them properly. And what do we have in 2025? This world has very poor leadership. And loan officers, if you're not organized and you have no structure, you're not going to be able to structure your assistant or your team member and have them have structure so they can service your clients. If you're a shit show, and it's like, where's the first place you want to start with if you want to close more loans and not ruin your life? What's the first thing you do? You get a CRM and you start putting your people in there.
Yeah, 100%. And here's what I would say, because we make a lot of excuses for ourselves. We do it in our personal lives of, why am I not fit? Why am I not whatever? And we create labels. And so I hear people all the time go, well, I'm just not organized. And it's like, you're choosing to not be organized. We got to create some accountability here. If you can learn how to use Encompass and you can learn how to read FHA mortgage guidelines, you can learn how to click add contact. You can learn how to click add task and where to enter it. So like, we're choosing, and if you want to choose that, that's fine. But that just means you're never going to scale. You're never going to get to where you want to be. So you got to choose, I'm going to always be here, or I'm going to force myself to get into a new habit because I want to double my business or have more time, or whatever your goal is with it. It only comes through scaling and systems.
What does your communication look like? Like, typically, does a realtor give your iPhone number out? Like, does a borrower call you on your iPhone and then you transfer them over to a CRM, or do they give out your work number? Like, how does that work?
So we just switched to Dialpad, which is like an online phone number or whatever you want to call it. And so it all shows up on this cell phone. However, it can be accessed anywhere. So like, I was away in, I was away in Myrtle Beach with my family for a week, right? Really didn't want to do loans that week. I log out, my assistant logs in. For the next week, every call, text, everything, she's taking care of. So, so my realtors give out that number. And sometimes I'm like calling the lead or they're calling in, but everything goes through that phone number. Same thing with follow-ups. So my assistant can log into my phone number and she can see, we got 30 leads to follow up with today. She can text them all and it's all coming from me, but it's her doing it. So it's just way easier to scale that way. If I'm at an event for 4 hours doing some broker open or something, we're not losing time. My assistant can respond to everything. And so everyone's getting really fast service, but it's not relying upon me being in front of my phone.
So you got Dialpad for your communication. Then what is your CRM? Like, do you communicate out of your CRM, or is it just Dialpad?
So we use Total Expert currently. And so we have a whole bunch of, our marketing team creates all kinds of different like campaigns based upon if it's an active loan, a credit repair lead, like just what type of client is this? So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes out there for automated updates or just from like a marketing perspective. We do have text campaigns built out within Total Expert as well. I don't use those as much, quite frankly, just because I have my own thing with our team and I'd have to change some other things around. I think it's great if you can get that workflow, but it creates a third number. And so without getting into too much detail, I mostly use that for status and marketing and that kind of thing. And then communication within the team, because I'm assigning tasks to the team. They're responding back through there. So having that right communication with your team is equally important. We do 3 calls a week to make sure our pipeline's running smooth.
Where do you want to be in the future? Like, what do you see yourself doing in this industry?
It's a great question. So I'd really like to scale from about 40 to 60 million in personal production. That's kind of the sweet spot for me personally. And then I just, honestly, I love helping loan officers. I love like the younger generation that's coming up. My market, at least, there's a lot of people that have been doing it here for 25 years. So I'd love to eventually kind of grow that out, have more younger loan officers that are trying to, scale, use their systems, get loan officer assistance. That was something I had the right mentors early on, which is really cool what you're doing for these people because totally changed my business and is the only reason why I'm here today, quite frankly.
Do you want to like grow a team then? Like you want to work with other loan officers? Like what would you say is more important to you? Like personal production or loan officers? Because personally, like if I'm closing 0 loans in 5 years, I don't care. I better have a couple loan officers. They're doing all that. They're closing more than me. But I think we've gotten away from this model of like actually growing people, growing loan officers. Like there's a couple people out there. There's definitely a couple older guys. I mean, they're typically older. They have a dozen loan officers, 2 dozen loan officers, and they close a ton of loans in that area, that region. But like, I don't know any younger loan officers that like have 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 loan officers that are like crushing it. And it just seems to be like a dying thing. It's like as the broker thing kind of increased and everyone's just kind of like being their independent mortgage broker. It's like the whole like mortgage crew thing. It's like, it's kind of becoming more fragmented. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think the last couple of years have definitely hurt it. There was such an emphasis on coaching and community and that kind of thing. And I think in the last 2 years, that's kind of been tougher to find. Like there's a lot of programs out there that don't even exist today that in 2019 you and I probably both know about. So yeah, I for me personally, I'd love to work with loan officers. Where it's difficult is you got to find the right person. Like you were really hungry, you built out your thing, you've built out now other businesses like this. So having the right one is more fulfilling to me than personal production. Quite honestly, I in an average year I do 35 to 40 million. The difference in doing 40 million to 60 million isn't going to change really. Like I'm not going to feel any more like purpose by closing 60 million. My life's not really that different just from, income at 60 million versus 40 million. So to me, I'd rather see someone who's doing like 9 million figure out how to do 20, or someone who's doing 20 million figure out how to get time back. So that way they're not working 14 hours a day. And like, if that can change her life, that excites me more, is seeing someone go like, hey, I did this thing that you told me and it worked. And so that to me sounds more exciting, quite frankly, than being the $150 million producer in my county. Like that just isn't really my goal. I don't think I find more purpose in that personally.
Same. I couldn't agree more. Last question, AI. So how are you actually using AI? Because personally, I use AI to save time and to critique my writing. Like I write a lot of email content, a lot of copy, and I use it to word vomits, and then I'll use ChatGPT or Grok to structure it. Are you using AI in any way, and if so, how?
Yeah, very similar. A lot of it is for marketing copy. Sometimes I'm not a great writer. Like I'm a horrific writer. I ignored it for years. And so sometimes I write something out and I go like, I know this is the right information, but this doesn't really make sense probably to anybody else. And so I'll put it in and it'll restructure in a way where I'm like, you could have given me 4 years. I was never going to come up with this. I'll use it for like just creative ideas of like, hey, I'm doing an event, or I need I used it for scripting the other day of like, how do I overcome this objection? Give me like, what would you do if somebody said, hey, I'm going back to my bank to get a mortgage, or I'm going to whatever. And there was interesting nuggets within that of like, that's an interesting angle I didn't think about. Outside of that, I mean, I think eventually document review and that kind of thing is probably what helps the industry next with AI. There's some big companies out there. I haven't seen any companies that are really utilizing it, but there's companies out there starting to promote that type of thing. But a lot of people copy.
Starting to be getting there. And of course, the mortgage industry is the last mover of the entire world every single time. We're the last ones to do it.
It's probably good. It's probably a good thing for us. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the next step in AI, if I were to guess, for our industry specifically.
People do not realize how helpful AI is for reading through stuff that you put out into the world and restructuring or reorganize. Because I mean, I had ChatGPT literally analyze like 150-page document last night. It did it in like 2 minutes. I couldn't have read it. I wouldn't have read it. It's like it would the task would not have been analyzed. The paper would not have been analyzed versus it was done in 2 minutes and it just summarized it. It's like that is how you use AI in the mortgage business or in your life right now. People are just like people aren't thinking about that.
No, and I think also like, if you subscribe to some of these like mortgage news sites and different things like that, right? It's like, okay, I'll copy paste it and go like, all right, how can I create, one line information or an email that kind of summarizes things? Or I'd used it for like just reviewing my own, I run a P&L. So it's like, here's my P&L. Where can I save money? Where am I? Whatever. What are you seeing here? So I mean, use it for all kinds of stuff, but copy by far is the number one thing. People go like, I don't know what to post about. You have a thing that'll come up with 1,000 ideas for you. You don't know what video to make? Like, ask it. Create 40 unique ideas about whatever it is that you want to focus on. DSCR, like, I don't care what it is. It will come up with something. So, like, there's no excuse now for, like, I can't think of anything. Because it'll think of it for you or it'll find it for you, So, yeah, I think it makes life easier, but you got to don't just copy and paste what it puts in. Because it's...
Get rid of the dashes. The long dash, you can't type that. Get rid of that. People...
I had an email today from a professional service, and it was back and forth, and I looked at it and I'm like, that's AI. Like, by the way, your clients are using AI to find out answers, and AI is great for creative when it comes to information in the mortgage world. It'll mess up guidelines. So you got to be better than AI, because I don't know about you, man, but I've had clients text me and they're like, you can do this. And I'm like, yeah, that's 35% right. It's missing the other 65% of the guideline or reality rather. So
no, I'm having that too. All of borrowers will be like, ChatGPT says this. I'm like, I don't care. He's wrong.
Yeah. It's so annoying. It probably said mortgage rates dropped yesterday during the Fed cuts too, right? But like that doesn't mean it's right. So,
but yeah, Caleb, thanks for joining. Where can people find you online? What's your Instagram? What's your Facebook?
Yeah, so I think it's literally just my name. So Caleb Heister, it's Hiester, and Facebook is the same thing, Caleb Heister. So pretty simple. Just you plug my name in, you'll find me on both of those, and would love to connect.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Caleb.
Yeah, man. See you, dude.
See ya.